Hi, everybody, and welcome to the week 7 review preview video. Hard to believe we're already week 7 and getting to the end of the session. I hope it's been an enjoyable experience for you thus far. So, for the review part of this little talk, I want to kind of reiterate what I was talking about in my post about SMART objectives. So, as you are laying out what you want to accomplish in whatever program you want to do, and that's this class, just going forward, SMART objectives are vitally important. And so, to reinforce that, a SMART objective, it's an acronym to describe the nature of your objective. So, it should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or relevant. Different people say different things. Either one is valid. Or time specific is your final one. So you want those 5 things to be in your objective. And the reason for the SMART objectives is it's kind of part of this broader idea, a broader idea that we want to be specific. And that's kind of what it's about. So whenever you are developing a plan, program, you need to be as specific as possible and have as much clarity to really reduce or hopefully eliminate subjectivity in terms of what you're going to do, why you're going to do it, who you're going to do it with, when, all sorts of things, which can be a little bit odd because as I talked about at the beginning of the class, and it's true. Public health as a discipline, it has this kind of funky combination where it really relies heavily on the hard sciences, on biological truths, statistical analysis, all that sort of stuff. But it has a direct combination with more social aspects, and with that comes more areas of creativity and abstraction and thinking about things, trying to solve problems and identify what is the problem requires a way of thinking that is outside the box sometimes, but really a creative thing, which is part of why St. Ambrose University and liberal arts institutions in general really are a good home for MPH programs because they kind of harness that creativity, thinking directly or indirectly in combination with the hard sciences. But back to the specificity part of it, at a certain point in the process, you do have to flip the switch. You do need to be very clear and very linear in your thinking in terms of what you're going to do. And there are many reasons for that. Probably the broadest reasons are one, you can't be there to answer everybody's questions. You want to make sure that you can write it down or present both what you're going to do in such a way that people read what you have to write, hear what you have to say, and they know exactly what you're getting at. There can't be follow-up questions all the time. The other has to do with replicability. As we talked about, science moves slowly. It's kind of a building blocks thing. We make one discovery, and then the next thing is kind of a slow progression forward, right? By being clear and by being very specific about what you are doing or what you have done, that provides the next group the opportunity to replicate or build upon what you are doing. And the replicability works kind of in 2 directions. Okay? One is that vertical, that idea of moving forward. So, in cancer epidemiology, we identify a gene that is related to a certain kind of cancer incidence. Okay? Then the next step is, okay, what would we do about that gene? What can we do? And so it's kind of going forward and forward and forward. The other is more that horizontal thing. So, and this is more kind of a public health nature. So, say we want to address a specific communicable disease. Now, we can't really do all of them at once. Let's just pick one. And whatever method we use to reduce the incidence of that disease very well might be applicable to other similar diseases. So it's not building upon the next thing so much as it is changing the specific nature of what we want to address and tackle. And all that requires you to be very specific and very clear about exactly what you were doing. So that's really the importance of SMART objectives and just being absolutely clear, reduce subjectivity, and somewhere along the line, you do have to kind of remove the abstract thinking and get a little bit more linear. Which, by the way, you are doing a very good job. I have read all your outlines. You've received my feedback, and I think everyone is making a lot of progress, and you are certainly getting there. So good work on that. Going forward, we only have a couple of them left. So this week's topic, Dr. Scher's PowerPoint is on forecasting the future of public health. which is a really interesting topic. And it's something that, I mean, this happens so quickly. You're all part of this, and you've all seen, how we try to forecast public health. As an example, Dr. Scher uses is on obesity rates. We've kind of tracked it over the past 50 years, and you can have a pretty good idea of where things are going. But there are other public health things that just seem to come absolutely out of nowhere. Vaping is one of them. 5 years ago, I don't know if that was really a thing. I remember walking from work and seeing some guy, smoking on something that looked like a pen, and it looked like his face was on fire because the smoke was so big. But now it's gotten so huge, and incidents of it being laced with other things, and kids using it. It all happens so fast. And so our forecasting the future of public health sometimes feels as reliable as forecasting that next blizzard we were expecting that ended up not happening, or perhaps going the other direction. So it's a really interesting topic, and nobody, some you are more qualified than others to forecast certain things, but sometimes it's a benefit to have a more non-academic platform or a non-academic setting because you see things earlier than others do. So forecasting public health, it really is a group effort, and it requires everybody to be at the table and to think about what's going on. So it's an interesting topic, and also about forecasting the future. It's not, again, always linear, right? So we go forward, we think things are tackled. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't kind of come back. You look at vaccines right now. You know, vaccines and vaccinations was, it's been a huge public health win. I mean, it's been responsible for eradicating so many diseases. Um, but now recently, and I don't know if there are more, anti-vaxxers, or they're just with social media able to be more visible. But it feels like, the momentum of, yeah, of course you vaccinate your children and yourselves. It kind of pulled back a little bit. And so again, that's that forecasting the future of public health and what direction things move. For your assignments this week, you've already done one of them. Or yeah, for your assignment for this for week 7, I'm sorry. For week 6, you still have the environmental policy paper due, which by the time you see this, perhaps you've already submitted. But for week 7, it's kind of a lighter load as far as assignments because week 8 is so busy. You were going to read the article from the Washington Post on the Cape Town, South Africa water crisis. Um, it's really an interesting article, and very depressing at the same time because it reveals huge inequities with such a vital thing such as water. So read the article, dive deep into it, and it's the discussion board thing. So we have the Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday posts. So make sure you really put a lot of thought into that. And then going forward, I just want to, because week 8 has so much in it, don't forget that your presentation, so that narrated PowerPoint, I believe you said somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, that is due on Tuesday, March 3rd. So that is coming up fast. So that's what I got for this week. So the review, talking on being specific and why it's important that we're doing that. Going forward, talking about forecasting the future of public health, your assignment, going back, into a more global setting. Now we're going to look at the water crisis in Cape Town, South Africa, and make sure that you are keeping an eye on those week 8 due dates because there are several little things, some bigger or smaller than others. But make sure you don't, all of a sudden wake up one morning and realize, oh my gosh, I have this thing to do. So make sure forward thinking on that. If you have questions, please get a hold of me. I'm available, and have a great week.